Mike and Molson have entered
Hello.
the chat.
Yes, we have. A little late, but things happen. A little later than we usually do. But
Uh,
I have friends in town, so
uh,
we were out doing Disney things. I will say there was one quick story I'd like to share with you concerning Disney. The way you enter into the park is you kind of scan and then they take like a fingerprint because
mhm.
Disney needs all your data. So I'm in line behind a gentleman and he starts having a sneezing fit. And he's sneezing into his hand.
Oh, yeah.
So he's covering the sneeze, but he's not like doing this thing or anything. He's just like achoo,
Yeah.
achoo.
Doing it
And
old style.
in my mind, I'm thinking, I hope I don't have to follow him because inevitably one of those fingers is going to have to touch that touch point,
Oh, yeah.
which means in turn, if I have to follow him, my finger is going to just be touching his sneeze, all 12 of them. So
Hmm.
I'm hoping beyond hope that he can get through quicker. But no, I
No
got
deal,
stuck
huh?
behind the sneeze man. So I did my scan and then I immediately had to run to a bathroom because
Yeah.
I was like, I got to get that off me. And I was walking around like either I had won the championship because my finger is this, or I was ET. I don't know why I felt
Why
the necessary
did this
to.
help? What was that? What was this
I,
doing
I,
for
I
you?
I don't know. I was going to wash the entire hand. It wasn't like I was just going to go wash this one finger. So why I walked around like I was
Did you
number
think you were going to
one,
lose track of it, and so you had to I don't want to forget which finger I used.
I don't know if I felt like it was going to taint the rest of the fingers somehow before I actually got to wash my hands. So I'm running around like an idiot with like this going, I got
Okay.
someone sneeze on me. But when I really didn't have to.
No, you can.
I
You
could
could have
have
walked like a
walked right.
normal person. I don't think that would have
Yeah.
affected the germs on your hand in any way.
No.
But we're going to talk a little bit later about manners that seem to be
Yeah.
going away, things that you thought were rude once upon a time that are saying people are going, not that big a deal anymore. Monkey line is open, 7074 Monkey, 466
Yes.
6539. And you can also comment as the show is going on. Because I think we have some topics here that are going to beg some questions. Like, for example,
I happened upon this particular story and just the headline in of itself. I didn't even see the picture when I just saw a headline and thought, we have to talk about this.
yeah,
Uh, these poor people, this was making the rounds on Chinese social media. So they were trying to do a funny video, apparently. The woman put her hand in the man's mouth. They tried to shoot a funny video to post online, in which they tried to see if the woman's hand was small enough to fit in her boyfriend's mouth. She managed to stuff her fist in his mouth. By the way, how does that come up, first off? Like, what does that kind of bet go on? Be like, hey, I bet I can fit my fist in your mouth.
I
Oh,
think
sure, why not? Let's try.
people are looking for their niche. They gotta do the next crazy thing to get those clicks and likes. That's why no one's
So,
watching this show. We're not
right.
sticking our fists in places.
Well, if we were, we would be on OnlyFans, I think. So it got in there just fine, but as what people don't realize is the jaw tightens right after a
Yeah.
while if it's stretched too much. So it tightened to the point where it was like the Pringle can syndrome, where she then could not get her fist out of his mouth, and that's when she decided, oh, we better need some medical attention.
Hmm.
And you have video of this? I didn't even know there was video that accompanied this.
Well,
But I want to know.
they were trying to make
Yeah,
a
go ahead.
video.
Yeah.
So naturally, there's video. What do you want to know?
I was going to say, I want to know how they made it to the emergency room. Like, was it in it? Because her hand is stuck in his mouth. So it's not like he can drive,
Right.
right? They're going to have to call an ambulance. He can't make the phone call. He's got a hand in his mouth. He's going to be like, whoa, 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 whoa. So how they ended up in the hospital, I don't know.
Well, and there's a person with a perfectly good phone, but they're not using it for phoning the ambulance. They're using it.
给我卡住了。
I love that he can't control. He's laughing. He knows this is asinine.
It is that side.
乱卡住了。
That's pretty much the
This has
extent of
got-
it.
This has gotten them more actual pub than whatever video they were thinking about doing
Yeah,
to,
you're right
to
about
actually
that.
post in the first place. The boyfriend's face gradually turned red. All her efforts to try to yank the hand free from his mouth were useless. He drooled continuously because he couldn't close his mouth, and his throat made a gurgling sound.
Ah,
To make matters worse, his teeth clamped down on her wrist because of his contracted muscles. Saliva ran down my wrist to my elbow, she said. It felt like my hand was stuck in a meat grinder.
oh God.
The doctor who handled the case said the girl's hand got stuck because her boyfriend's jaw muscles had contracted, preventing him from opening his mouth, created a dangerous cycle. The more pain, the tighter he clenched his jaw. To solve the problem, hospital staff first tried to calm the patients and prevent the man from choking or vomiting by playing soothing music. How is that helping? It's okay, buddy. It's okay. We're going to play some soothing music for you. To solve the problem, hospital staff, like they said, then they use a special mouth opener to expand his jaw enough to inject a muscle relaxant into a specific area.
Holy cow.
After about 20 minutes, the doctor gently rotated the girl's wrist, taking advantage of the sliding properties of the jaw joint to finally unjam it. He later presented the case as a cautionary tale, warning people that forcing a person's jaw open can cause nerve damage or dislocation of the jaw, and that we should add that you should not jam your fist in someone's mouth just to make sure.
That's
So,
not something you train for in medical school. They don't say, all right, what we have to do is get a machine in there and we have to get a jaw relaxer. I guess that's something they keep on the shelf for
right,
just such
but
emergency.
where was the room? Because the risky run there is if you don't get that just right, and then you hit her wrist. Now she's
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to have a lip, and it's like next thing you know, she's losing a finger.
Right. Slides down his throat. That's crazy.
Right.
That's absolutely
Yeah.
insane.
That is insane. So if we learn anything from the show tonight, kids, don't jam your fists down someone else's throat.
At the very least.
Doesn't
yes.
work well. Yeah. Speaking of women doing interesting things, this is beyond the pale. Okay, so they're at this wedding. This is a wedding in the Philippines, and it took a bizarre turn when a groom allegedly, quote, snapped out of a trance-like state after a guest threw salt at him.
Wow.
So they're going down the aisle. All right, the bride managed to book a hotel and secure wedding suppliers, including a makeup artist, without any deposit. This unusual arrangement raised eyebrows among the organizers, who later joked that they too might have been placed under a spell. On the day of the wedding, the bride was said to be visibly on edge. Witnesses noticed that she never let the groom out of her sight, ignoring the traditional belief that couples should avoid seeing each other before the ceremony. Throughout the preparations, it was always the bride who answered questions, while the groom remained disturbingly silent and disengaged. So he's just kind of standing there in a haze.
Wow.
When the organizers followed up about the wedding costs, the bride reassured them that her parents, who were staying in another hotel with the judge set to officiate the wedding, would settle everything upon arrival. As time passed, doubts grew. The bride became increasingly agitated, claiming that someone was trying to sabotage her big day. Organizers, sensing something was amiss, alerted local police, who agreed to patrol the venue. Less than 2 hours before the ceremony, there were no guests. The organizers confronted her about the payments, but she insisted everything would be handled once her parents arrived. Moments later, a group of people arrived, introducing themselves as friends of the groom. As the bride made their way to the ceremony, they walked past the groom's friends. Suddenly, a woman who turned out to be the wife of one of the groom's friends stepped forward and threw a handful of salt at the back of the groom. To
Everybody
everyone's
knows
shock,
that's what you do.
that's exactly what you do. If you think it's a suspect
Why did it take
wedding,
so long?
everyone shocked. The groom immediately appeared confused if he had just woken up from a deep sleep. He looked around in bewilderment and asked, "Where am I? What's happening?"
Wow.
Having no recollection of how he got there, let alone that he was about to end up being married. So she used some black magic.
Wow. That's crazy.
Then they descended into chaos. Police officers stationed at the venue stepped in and arrested her, who was accused of scamming the groom and using a local love spell to force him into marriage.
Dang.
So the question now everyone's saying is, was it a legit spell or was it cold feet from the groom and he sent a
Right.
text somehow saying, hey, throw the salt at my back to wake me from the stupor because I don't want to marry her?
I'm going to go with a spell because that's the better of the two stories.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Supporters of his theory claim that such cases are not uncommon and that traditional healers often warn about love spells that wear off under certain conditions, such as exposure to salt. I had no idea that salt was something that broke the love spell.
Mm-hmm.
But yet that's what happened. Others, however, are skeptical, arguing the groom may have simply gone along with the engagement and panicked at the last moment. The bride claims that she was pregnant with twins further complicate the situation, with some speculating that the groom's family may have staged intervention to prevent him from marrying her.
No, I like the image of, you land a plane in the Philippines, you get off, and there's just a woman going, "Ooh, you're going to marry me."
Marry me. Don't worry, it's going to be taken care of. By the way, comp us the highest suite you have.
Right?
By the
and
way,
you stumble over to a restaurant and try to grab the salt off the table. Just to,
please. By the way, another layer to the drama, they said, is the woman who threw the salt is said to be best friends with the groom's ex, the mother of his child. This has led some to question whether the incident was less about witchcraft, more about hidden motives and personal vendettas.
I'd watch this movie.
It's a great
if they
movie,
make this
isn't
into
it?
a movie, I would watch this. This has a lot of twists and turns, and I love every bit of it.
A24, if you're listening, we want to do that. By the way, just to let you know, Johnny,
Yes.
they say how salt is believed to break spells. In many cultures, salt is believed to have powerful cleansing properties, both physically and spiritually. And so the belief stems from the idea that salts have purifying energy that can neutralize magic influences. It often is sprinkled around homes, placed in bathwater, or thrown over the shoulder to ward off the bad luck. So that's why the salt has those properties that can ward off the women who are just standing there when you land in the Philippines to put you in a love spell and get you married.
Definitely keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of potential scams, this poor woman believed that she was in a relationship with Enrique Iglesias.
I'm always dumbfounded by these stories, Johnny.
Yeah.
That people to this day think celebrities need your money and want to start a relationship with you.
Guadalupe Cepeda, a longtime admirer of the singer, was stunned when he allegedly reached out to her via social media. He said he found her through an online fan group, and she never questioned why a global music star would single her out for a virtual romance.
They never do.
No. Their online relationship began 2 years ago, and this person posing as Iglesias convinced her that they would eventually get married.
Oh.
Now, she was already married. That's where this gets
Oh,
really
no.
interesting. Yeah. But said, willing to leave my husband for you.
Was Enrique Iglesias the hall pass for Guadalupe? Was the husband okay with it? Like if Enrique Iglesias ever would have found you on social media, sweetie, you're clear.
Unsurprisingly, over the course of 2 years, this fake Enrique asked for money, and she ends up sending him thousands of dollars. And it got to a point where she said, hey, I can't, this is getting too much. He ruthlessly told her to steal it from her husband or find another source if you really want to be with me.
Oh, well, that doesn't sound like hero talk there.
Yeah. The woman's husband allegedly learned about the whole scam after discovering their conversations on the phone. Only instead of confronting her and threatening to leave, he struggled to open her eyes. So he's like saying, this is not Enrique Iglesias. He tried explaining that he wasn't really talking to her. Guadalupe's husband was very understanding, despite her refusal to accept the obvious.
Oh.
So he came up with the idea of going on Univision to tell her story in hope of finally making her realize the truth.
So he's like, if you're not going to listen to me, I'm going to go to the one place that everybody knows, Univision. That'll show you
Even after going on public television, Guadalupe still isn't convinced that the man she's been exchanging texts with for the past couple years isn't Enrique Iglesias,
Oh my God.
who is
This
down
guy
on his
really hit
luck
his.
and needs money.
He's got more witchcraft than the Filipino bride we just talked about.
Enrique, so she went on TV and she made an appeal to the real Enrique or the Enrique in the story. The real Enrique has not responded to this thing,
Oh.
instructing fans to be vigilant and only trust his official channels in order to prevent similar scams. And that reminded me, I had a story lined up. I don't know if I can grab it quick enough, but did you hear that Nickelback is going to be doing a concert at the Field of Dreams field?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have heard that. Yeah. I don't know why, but that just seems ridiculous to me.
And so I went over to I wonder if I can still find this. I went over to the Field of Dreams Facebook page thinking there would be people just, people bitching about.
Right. Yeah. Well, Nickelback, Canadian band, but America's pastime. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, because I mean that's just what you do. You crap on Nickelback. And what I found was crazy in the comments.
Timothy Busfield.
No, no, no. There were 2 or 3 fake Chad Kriegers.
Oh no, the lead singer from Nickelback.
Yeah, saying, "Hey, if you ever want to have, here we go. If you ever want to have a conversation with me, you can contact me here." Let me pull this up here real quick.
Oh Jesus, how many dopes fell for that?
Yeah, look at this.
Oh God.
Yeah. Hello,
Holy-
this is my private account where I can chat with fans. You are one lucky fan to receive a free chatting from me. You can chat with me any time of day. I'll get back to you. Thanks for your likes and comments. And you can see there's a couple of different ones there with different profile
chattings.
pictures. Yeah.
The real Chad would use chatting as CHADDING.
Right.
You get a free
OUN
chatting.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, a free chatting. Get it?
That's what made me think about this Enrique Iglesias story, because that's, again, there's a great example there. And somebody probably clicked on that and said, "What's going on, Chad?"
Yeah. It's hard to believe. Like, I understand for some people, like the Enrique Iglesias, he hasn't really been relevant, I should say, in years. So you may think he's down on his luck, but it's just like after they start asking for money, don't you go, okay, what's going on here? Like, even if you're down on the luck celebrity, you got to have some type of cash flow back there. When they start asking for gift cards from Amazon randomly, that's when you go, okay, maybe this isn't the real Enrique Iglesias.
Man, it's the classic con, though. I mean, if you believe the very first thing, it's hard to break somebody out of that, and that's what's so weirdly fascinating about that is if you can get somebody to believe that one first thing, then everything else starts to make sense in this imaginary world that they came up with.
God bless her husband for trying to be as supportive as possible and being like, we're taking this to Univision, and even Univision he should have taken her to Sábado Gigante. That may have broken her.
I'm going to see if I can get Chad Krieger on the show. Maybe he'll.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Respond.
Okay, let me introduce you to this mope from Duncanville, Pennsylvania. This I grabbed because it could be the most 21st century story you've ever heard.
Do tell.
This is Thomas Telbert, who's accused of robbing a vape shop at gunpoint with an airsoft gun, then fleeing on an e-bike. So once again, he walks into a vape shop with an airsoft gun, steals like $250, and flees on an e-bike.
Takes off on an e-bike. No kidding.
Those are words that just 10 years ago we would not have used in our vernacular.
That's a good. That's one of those things. Yeah, you want to go back in time and just say that out loud and just see what kind of reaction you get.
Right. Exactly. According to the police affidavit, the store clerk told officers that the suspect entered the store while wearing a face covering and gloves and asked for a carton of cigarettes. Police say, according to surveillance footage, the suspect then pointed a gun at the clerk and demanded cash from the register. Upon further investigation, authorities say a local resident was able to help identify the suspect. Investigators say when they questioned him, he initially denied any involvement in the robbery, but later told police, "I did it." He told officers that he took the bike and airsoft gun from a friend of his, and that after the robbery, he reportedly went to his friend's relative's house and discarded some of the clothing that he wore during the robbery.
Bananas.
During search of the shed, police say they uncovered the bike, the gun, and cash, as well as the gloves and the mask that he admitted to wearing. So how he discarded all of it was in the same damn shed with the e-bike, the airsoft gun, and everything else. So Mr. Talbert is not the smartest guy in the room, but when I read that headline of like vape shop, airsoft gun, e-bike, I'm like, that's 2025 in a nutshell. If you 5 years ago you've been like, hey, guy robbed a vape shop and got away on an e-bike, people be like, huh? I don't know what you're talking about. You're speaking gibberish to me. Gibberish, I say.
Let's talk about manners, Michael.
Yeah, which leads us to this. Like, stealing is not socially acceptable. But this, from your tango, really kind of got me thinking of how far we have come and changed as a society. So they start off with that back in the day, scrolling at the dinner table was looked at as bad manners.
Mm-hmm.
But now it is actually socially acceptable because what else are you going to talk about? You're not going to actually interact with the person with you. You're going to scroll to find some type of Instagram or TikTok that you can then start discussing at the dinner table.
Is it acceptable, though? I mean, doesn't it kind of bum you out when somebody just pulls their phone out and starts?
It does, but they say that over 90% of our communication is nonverbal. She explained, which is why scrolling in the presence of others often means we're not being in close contact, but they said it might be socially acceptable to stay on your phone during dinner. But if you really want to feel connected to people, you should probably share the meal with them. But people aren't going to get up in your case as much if you're scrolling at the dinner table.
I mean, I guess we have tolerated it more, but it does just sort of bum me out when it's happening.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's more like, hey, could you look over here? The next one is using emojis in work emails. Emojis started as kind of like a niche thing, right? And now it almost has it? Let me ask you this, Johnny, and as well as people watching comment or call in at 707-4Monkey. Has it come full circle on emojis where it wasn't used too much, and then now I feel like it's used far too often, that we need to then go back to using them less often than what we did before?
Yeah, I think
Are there
so.
just too many of them?
I think there's too many of them. I don't like when people form actual sentences with them. Like going to the store to get, and then there's grapes emojis. And then there's a car emoji. But I need to stop and get some dollars emoji. I mean, it starts to, it's like, I'm not here to read hieroglyphics. Is it really that easier?
Right. Some of them look like classic concentration. It's like fist pound, like chicken dinner. Like, it's like, I don't know what you're trying to say. Are you in a signal chat with someone who has battle plans? I'm not quite sure.
Right.
So we may want to go ahead and knock it off on the emoji use. But they say emojis in work emails, since they're so ubiquitous anymore with emojis, you can go ahead and use them in professional settings now as well. Also on this list of 7 things that seem like bad manners but are actually socially acceptable now, texting instead of calling. It's almost, if you call anyone, that's bad manners now.
Yeah, it's weird to call.
It used to be sending the text was a little forward of like, hey, those are just for booty calls. But now it's like, if you actually call somebody, they look at you and say, hey, what do you like? Have you ever tried to call somebody, they have an answer, and they send a text like, why are you just trying to call me? Just send me a text.
Yeah, because it's somehow a phone call has become like it's urgent, like something is going on, like there's a fire or something.
Or it's an inconvenience.
Yeah.
Like when the phone rings, people roll their eyes like, whatever.
Yeah.
But when we were growing up, when the phone rang at your house, everyone ran to it.
Right.
Because you wanted to talk on the phone. That's not the case anymore. Also on this list of the things that seem like bad manners but are actually socially acceptable now, not shaking hands. It's okay after 2020 now to say, you know what? That's fine. We can just kind of, give the nod or the fist bump. Like, don't have to shake hands as much anymore.
I think we should bring back curtsying. I think we should just all curtsy, men and women, just curtsy now when we see each other. Hello, sir.
Hello, hello, my lord. Hello, my lady. Ignore. Here's one too that really it kind of goes the way of texting instead of calling. Ignoring unexpected visitors.
Oh, wow.
Anymore, it's acceptable now that if you get a random knock on your door, it's socially acceptable just to blow that person off. Like, don't answer. You don't answer the door. We don't run to it. We just let it go. Just we don't need it. We don't need those people.
And just sit real still, and hopefully they go away.
Yeah, yeah. Have you ever made the mistake? Growing up, we were very much, our family was anti answering the door for anyone. So it was like when the doorbell rang and we weren't expecting it, it was like red light and everyone would just stop. But if you were the family member that accidentally kept walking past the door and then the people saw that we were home, oh, you were in for it. That's just
Why don't
not
we want to
great.
answer? I mean, what's the what? It was just we just don't want to be bothered in our own. I don't know. I don't know why.
They said in the time before cell phones, it wasn't especially strange to stop by someone's house unannounced. Getting a random knock on the door wasn't out of the ordinary, and it was widely accepted that pretending not to be at home was just plain rude. Now, ignoring unexpected visitors is actually socially acceptable. The act of interrupting someone else's peace and quiet is often seen as more impolite than not answering the door itself. It's a modern day equivalent of inviting yourself over to a friend's house, even though they've told you how busy they are.
Mm-hmm.
Ignoring people who come to your doorstep seems more rude than it is. There's no hard and fast rule that says we have to sacrifice our personal comfort just to entertain other people. Ignoring unexpected visitors is a valid boundary to keep,
Wow, no
they
kidding.
say. Yeah. And I'm with them. I when the doorbell rings and I don't expect it, I'm hiding or trying to get to a place where I can look and see who it is. And if
I
it's
always,
someone I know, I will answer it.
yeah, I always worry that I don't have anything to offer. You know, I don't have a. There's nothing. I can't like set out a plate of crackers and cheese on a moment's notice. I got nothing.
You can't just even give like I don't even have any Cokes in the refrigerator for you. I got no
Barely.
beverages.
Yeah. Here's a bottle of water and maybe some a little thing of yogurt.
Hey, sometimes that's all you need. Just a little pick me up. Just the
Oh, okay.
company there. Just
Can I get you a
just
yogurt?
someone answering the door.
You want anything?
Just
Can I get you a
answer.
yogurt? Want a bowl of Reese's Puffs? I got some Reese's Puffs.
I would take you up on that.
You would?
Reese's Puffs are a delicious cereal. That's
It's
a good cereal. It's not like you're offering me shredded wheat.
Yeah,
I would
that's
be
right.
like, no, this guy's weird. Also socially acceptable now, waiting to respond to texts.
Mm.
What is for me, if I'm more than 2 hours responding to you, I feel like an a-hole.
Yeah.
Like I feel like unless I'm really doing something, but even then, going to the emojis or just a okay or hey, I'm busy, it doesn't take much to just respond.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know and I've had that happen where there'll be a bunch of texts come in and somebody's text kind of gets pushed off my screen and I forget about them. Sorry.
That's true.
Feel bad.
It happens. They do say that part of the reason why this is more socially acceptable is because we don't shorthand text as much anymore for some people who like write these personal essays and you just don't have time to read all that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, give me a chance to get all the information, then I'll get back to you.
Makes sense.
Also socially acceptable now, wearing casual clothes to work. Don't have to dress up as much anymore for work. You can just wear casual clothes in the office setting. That
like
upset
been
you?
The case no, it seems like that's been the case for a while though.
Yeah. Here's one. Unfollowing people on social media no longer seen as rude. It's more socially acceptable.
The first thing I thought of was in the MySpace days when you had your top 8.
Oh.
Whew. You could start a fight. You could start a war rearranging those things.
Oh yeah. If you got moved, especially like, well, why am I 6? I used to be 4. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, that upper left corner.
If you were out of top 8 altogether, it was on, mofo. Like, what are you doing? So, and so many people would break up. Like you'd see like a random, like if a dude was dating someone and a random girl ended up in his top 8, oh, that was trouble. That was absolutely trouble.
Disaster, yeah.
But now they say life is short, and if someone's being an a-hole, just unfollow them. Also, more socially acceptable now is leaving events early. They say
Yep.
your time and energy are precious resources. You don't have to expend those in social situations. They say offer insight into how to leave an event early while still being polite. If you know ahead of time that you'll be having to leave the event early, be sure to notify the host in advance. Be like, hey, I'm just going to do a quick pop in.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I can't stay. And it used to be that people would think you were a jerk, but
Yeah.
now you can leave early.
What do you do when everybody does that, though? That's a bummer of a party.
Yeah. Here's one that I don't know if I still think you probably should, but it's no longer bad manners. Quitting a job without 2 weeks' notice. They're saying that's more of a thing that people are doing nowadays, and it's becoming more socially acceptable. Of just, yeah, I'm not coming in tomorrow. I quit.
Yeah, I mean, there's no law that says you have to do that, but it's kind of rude.
It is. I still think it. Yeah, I don't know how acceptable it is per se. I would still do the 2 weeks notice thing. And the final thing on this list is more socially acceptable. Breaking up by text
Oh,
has become more socially acceptable instead of bad manners.
that's rough.
According to research, 10.8% of people have ended a relationship through text. There's a major difference between sending a breakup text to someone you've dated for a few weeks versus your live-in partner. They say texting to end a relationship might seem easier than doing it face to face, but you have to consider the repercussions. Above all else, having compassion for the person you're breaking up with goes a very long way. And they're saying the reason why it's become more socially acceptable is due to the fact that more and more people are interacting online and
Yeah.
via text rather than face to face. So it's just easier that way, and they don't want to deal with someone getting angry in their face. So it's just, I'm going to send you the text.
Yeah, but texts are just ripe for misinterpretation.
Yes, exactly.
And
Because you
it
don't
always
get the
seems worse.
context.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like breakups, there's certain things you need to do in person, right? Breakups are something you need to be doing in person. You also need, like, if you have, I don't know why I laughed at this, but if you have some medical procedure or something, some medical test results, I want to call. I don't just want a text of, oh, by the way, you need a
Right.
quintuple bypass or your heart is about to explode. Like, tell
Yeah.
me that face to face, doc, or give me a call.
I have
That's not a
trichinosis.
text thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A text thing is, I'm not making it to the movie. Sorry. That's a text. That's something you can do the text for, not a breakup. So
That makes good sense.
your mileage may vary on some of those. I found it interesting. It just shows where we are in a society and how we communicate differently, how the phone has just become part of us. And we don't get as upset if people scroll or text or anything. We have no use for interacting with people anymore. We're just like,
Clearly.
I just want to tap. I just want to tap. I don't want to answer the door. I just want to break up text. We're all good that way.
Let's go to France, where there has been an ongoing case with actor Gerard Depardieu.
Oh, this guy's still alive?
Yeah, a sexual assault case, and he's using the "come on, I'm too fat to assault anyone."
Oh, what? That's not a defense, is it?
I don't know that it prevents you from being a lecherous ass.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Just because you're fat doesn't mean you can't still be an a-hole or try to assault someone. I mean, you still got the parts, right? That they're saying
No, he
that you're
says.
using to assault.
He says, "I'm not going to have fun at 76 or 130 kilos." He's almost 300 pounds. "I'm unhappy enough. I'm not going to touch anyone's butt, not on a set or anywhere else." This is him on the stand in court.
Saying these things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God.
Regarding the claim brought forth by a 54-year-old set designer, Depardieu stated he had no memory of any inappropriate contact, insisting there was no physical contact. He conceded he might have held her hips, but it was solely to maintain his balance. You know how that happens when you start to slip and you just grab a lady's ass?
The one thing I can hold on to keep me upright is your sweet, sweet badonkadonk.
"I'm feeling a little wobbly. Let me grab your butt."
It looks like Milwaukee.
A witness said she saw him trapping the set designer between his legs. He then said,
Oh.
yeah. He then said, I would never put anything between my thighs. With the belly I have, I cannot put anything between my thighs. Your Honor, Exhibit A, my gut.
He just sits there, man spread on the stand. See,
Yeah.
nothing fits between the legs.
What?
Oh, I thought he was going to do I was just asking her to pay the toll. You know how you do sometimes trapping people with your legs. You know how you do, Your Honor. Pay the tolls. The Pardue needs a baguette. And then I drop the leg and it's just a toll bridge. You know.
Would the prosecuting attorney like to try to get between my legs? Because you cannot. I have too much going on here.
I am too fat between the legs.
Depardieu admitted he later offered an apology for crude language in his interaction with a set designer. He apparently used that P word that you're not supposed to use around ladies.
Oh, okay.
But he says...
The P word?
Yeah. You know.
The Billy Bush P word from...
Right. The grab him
from
by
the tape?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just making sure I got the right P word. I didn't know if he was using his P word or her P word.
No, her P word. The thing that's on the presidential seal of the United States. You know,
yeah,
I just
right,
grab
exactly.
them by them. Okay.
In that we trust. It's right there on the back of that back of the gold coin.
He says, there is rudeness and vulgarity. I say the word for fun. He says, sometimes I say it to myself. So here he is, walking around the set, all wobbly, saying that word, and then, I'm slipping. I must grab you by your ass.
Right. I am falling down. Let me grab your bootay.
And that's about the extent of it. The legal proceedings had been postponed for a little bit, but now he's in Paris court. Ongoing trial commenced yesterday, and he's on trial for allegations of raping an actress. Jeez.
Yeah.
Under scrutiny. So yeah, I mean, but his very weird defense of I'm 76 and I am fat. I could not possibly do that.
You've
Why
seen
would
this?
I rape somebody?
Have you seen The Family Guy? You know how the Peter Griffin is nude and you do not see the other P words there? I am like this the Peter Griffin of France. You would not see me if I were nude.
We did see this nude lady, unfortunately.
Yeah, what is the story behind this? I saw the headline, but I don't know exactly why she was all charged up and nude at the Dallas airport.
She was, I don't know if anybody really knows, she was clutching a plastic water bottle and can be seen in viral video shouting erratically at no one in particular before proclaiming, I speak all languages. She stormed through Terminal D at DFW. Her behavior escalated rapidly as she began hurling water in the air and striding across the concourse, throwing water out of the bottle, and then just tossed the bottle. Her actions became increasingly erratic. There appeared to be no visible sign of law enforcement or airport security whatsoever.
When it becomes that crazy, you just let it roll out, right? You just let it play out, and kind of like when a kid has a temper tantrum, you just let her tire herself out, and then you arrest her.
Let's see what we can not see here.
No way, stop.
She's flinging the water bottle like a maniac.
Oh no.
Then she starts flinging things at the monitor.
People. Oh, she that her up. Oh, y'all just gonna let her do that?
I love the guy who's recording.
Yeah,
giving us the play-by-play. Like,
this officer who is walking backwards as she's walking forward. I mean, she's nude. That's the right response.
Right. You don't want to be in a Depardieu situation where you have to defend her being between your legs. You just go
supposed to handle that.
Back up.
Now she's chasing him, and then she goes running off, and that's about the extent of that.
But she needed to be nude for all. I have a feeling drugs are probably involved for this woman here. But I love how we go ahead.
Without any restraint in sight, she then grabbed another water bottle from a cafe and began dousing it on the floor.
Was she trying to make a slip and slide?
Maybe.
Is that what she was trying to do? In her mind, she's like, I would rock this slip and slide here right at this airport. I'm gonna be all nude and just slide right across this floor.
Yeah. My webpage just closed. One user appeared to diagnose what the woman might have been going through. In law enforcement, we call it excited delirium. Dealing with people like this have incredible strength while under the influence and feel no pain. Very dangerous in this situation. Having been in a position where I've had to restrain naked people before, it definitely adds a whole new layer of discomfort and anxiety to the situation.
I would think so. It's one thing when they're clothed, but when you're trying to like tack them to the ground and boobs askew and flailing around all over the place, that's much more difficult.
Yeah, that's a bad day at work.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great when they're running at you all scared like that. So speaking of naked and genitals, this guy was all he was doing was try to cure his baldness. Let me introduce you to this gentleman, Mark Milich. He's a former U.S. Army Sergeant, 26. He completed a 14-question intake on telehealth company Hims.com, received a bottle of anti-balding pills at home in January 2021. By the way, Hims.com, you don't need a doctor, so he never really talked to a doctor. Within 6 months of taking this particular pill, he began experiencing dizziness, fatigue, cold sweats, and was slurring his words. He had become numb, feeling nothing but blunted emotions, he said. In fear of his mental state, he stopped taking the medication. But soon after, even worse, the side effects kicked in. His libido plunged and his genitals shrank and changed shape.
No kidding. Wow. Changed shape.
Right. That's what I'm wondering, too. He claims the telehealth company never shared the information about the dangerous side effects of your crank changing shape after getting off these baldness pills.
That's a thing?
I guess it is. Wow. DHT causes hair to become shorter and finer, eventually stop growing in the affected area. And so basically between 1 in 100 or 1 in 10 men suffer at least one of its major side effects. So that's what they found, that a number of young men have been plagued by the sexual side effects of this particular pill, finasteride. The side effects are very common these days due to accessibility of the medicine from companies such as Hims.com. This is nothing young men should take, a specialist warned. Hims.com spokeswoman confirmed to Wall Street Journal that customers go through a comprehensive intake that is reviewed by a licensed provider who makes a clinical determination about the patient's eligibility for the medication. Now, it doesn't go on to say what shape it turned into.
That's what I want to know.
It just said that it shrank and it changed shape on him.
Hmm.
I don't know if it turned into like a pineapple from a banana.
Yeah. Little corkscrew.
Maybe I turned from a Q to the letter R, or exactly what it turned into. But can you imagine? All you're trying to do is cover up thinning hair. Right. You go to Hims.com. You've seen the commercials they ran during the damn Super Bowl.
All the time.
You're like, this seems legit. And you start taking them, and you're growing hair, but you are also growing comatose. So you're like, I need to stop taking this stuff. And the next thing you know, your crank is smaller, and it doesn't look like a crank. It looks like a U.
Well. But did he have a lovely flowing head of hair? Lovely flowing head of hair. I don't know what I said.
Yes. I'm assuming it worked in that regard, but at what cost?
Yeah.
Like I don't know about the fact that it changed shape into what? He doesn't disclose.
When they're saying those disclaimers all fast, that's what they're talking about.
Yeah, that you're. I want them to put that in the end of the actual thing in the small print of crank may change shape.
Yes, may experience new crank shapeage.
New crank shapeage, indeed. That poor bastard.
Wow.
God, Cy Sperling. He should still be in business, man. If you've gone to Cy Sperling, never heard any of that in those commercials.
No,
I'm not only a president, I'm the client, and my penis looks like a mole.
All right, it is time for This Week in Slow-Mo.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, how about that?
I'm intrigued by what this video is.
We've discovered just how enjoyable it is when things are in super slow motion with the audio and everything. It makes us happy. It just makes us happy.
It does.
So we go to this softball game that's going on. I don't know exactly where it's going on, but there are 2 outs that happen right after one another. Let's watch the tape.
Ya pues vete a jugar. ¡Ey, Toto!
I was not expecting the second part of that. The way you set it up of the 2 outs, I was not expecting the second part. I thought there was going to be an actual like out, like you're out, like the umpire. I was not expecting the double doink, as it were.
The ball goes right back to the batter, gets him right in him or her right in the ankle. And while the pitcher is hopping around on one foot, the third baseman grabs the ball, throws it to first, and it never makes it to first. Instead, it bounces off the pitcher's head.
¡Ey, Toto!
All right, so right there, she's like, this hurt. This hurt. Oh, and then wait for it. I'm doing okay. Look at this guy. Look at the third baseman. I don't know if he's mad he didn't get the out.
I don't
or
know.
Is he upset he pegged her in the back of the head?
I don't know either. That's a really good question. I mean, he just comes flying in like an assassin.
He does. He comes straight out of frame and just nails her in the back of the. Oh my god. As someone who's gotten beamed in the head before by a softball, it doesn't feel good. And from that close a range, that poor woman has to go and she's got to get an MRI or a CAT scan. That's a concussion.
You know, that's a really good point. He is not that far from the pitcher.
Watch where he fires it from. I mean, he is literally...
he's almost like on the mound.
7 feet. He's almost in the circle. And he is coming up hucking. Like he is firing that to first base to get the out. Oh, and look at how high it ricochets.
Yeah, that hurt.
Run it back to the original. I want to see where it lands. Go. I know it's this week in slow-mo, but I want to see how high that thing goes out of the screen.
Yeah, let's see if we...
So here we go. This is full speed. I mean, just look at that.
Yeah, it's in the stands. It easily goes into the stands.
It's in at least the dugout. And this, oh God! And he doesn't. Oh, by the way, the third baseman just keeps running. He is so either embarrassed. He doesn't even go back to check to see if they feel okay.
I think it was one of those situations where he just assumed it was an easy out and he got it. So I'm just going to run to the dugout. That's 3, and off I go.
The look on his face was he knew he did something wrong, but he didn't want to take him. Look, he's just like, oh. And he looked back, and then he's just like, no.
Jeez. Go apologize at least.
Right.
Bad enough to get it right in the ankle. That hurts.
Right.
Hoppity.
Hoppity. Just try to jump it off. It's going to be okay. Then she stops for a second, like, everything's going to be fine. And then this dickhead just keeps running like, oh. God, Nolan Arenado just fired it right at her skull.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right, Greg. The double doink indeed.
Yeah, I remember the double doink. That's exactly what happened.
That guy owes her an apology. Like he just runs to the dugout and is like, well, you know what? I'm off the team.
No, you know what? The pitcher gets a free one.
Oh,
he's got he's got to stand about 7 feet away, and the pitcher can just do that crazy softball wind up
thing, and then right wherever.
Just fire it right at his crotch. There.
I was gonna
Now
say,
we're even, idiot.
You thought the previous story would get the shape changed. Wait till you see her hit you right square in the newts.
Oh,
Can we get it one
man.
more time
Of
to
course.
wrap up this week and the show? Just one more time.
Good times.
Yes. Just. Ow, 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 ow. Oh! Ow.
Ball back to the pitcher. Oh, right off the old ankle root. Hope that pitcher's going to be okay. Looks like maybe a play at first base. Here comes the third baseman. He's got a rocket for an arm coming in from the left of your screen, and right off the Nagarino.
God, that poor woman. That was a good find. I enjoyed this week in slow-mo. That was a good one.
Not too bad. Not too bad. So that's our regular feature. That's, if nothing else, that's why you tune into this show.
Yes, you find out what's socially acceptable. You know to not go to hims.com because Nugenics is all you need, and she'll like it too. And you get to see the slow-mo videos. If you have a slow-mo video you'd like us to break down, please send it to us as well. You can go to the Facebook page, message us there, and it can be featured in one of these fine programs here that we do Wednesdays.
We're going to do our level best to be back to our regular time next week.
Yes, exactly. So,
But who knows?
exactly. Stay tuned.
Until then,